So the Trips UK Group A elite riders now making their way around on their warm-up lap. Pole position for number 74, Chris Hodgson, ahead of Harley Sharp and Richard Sharp. It's the son leading the dad at the end of row number 1. Alex Mullaney and the number 7 of Jamie Duncan will be there on row number 2 with Lee Williams, Dean Hillier and Richard Blakeman. Bike number 54, that is your front 3 rows. As they make their way now through the dirt section, just gives these guys an opportunity to have a look at different lines and how the track has cut up between their previous race and now. But it's going to be hard to look past Chris Hodgson and the Sharps as well as Mullaney for those podium positions.
Nice little creeper in for a ride. Still scary.
Trips UK Group A race number 2 now down on the line. We can see the number 54 machine of Richard Blakeman is just putting his machine over to the right hand side. Get as much oil on the clutch as you can to ensure you get that biting point absolutely nailed as we have a look at Chris Hodgson, Harley Sharp and Richard Sharp. That is your front row then as we get ready for the green flag to signal to the riders that the racing will soon commence.
Yep, so all those riders over the front end of those machines, and it is a great start there from the 74 of Chris Hodgson as he leads them now down towards mere hairpin. It looks like a great start there also from the second row with the number 7 of Jamie Duncan there nipping up the inside.
Certainly did as they make the way through then, and that is 74 Chris Hodgson is it leading the way from Sharp, and then that's Alex Mullaney. He's made up a position from row number 2 in front of Jamie Duncan, so that is that Richard Sharp up into second there. Yes, it is. Alex Mullaney up next, Jamie Duncan, then Hillier, and it looks like Harley Sharp has just lost out in the opening few turns.
Yep, I think Harley Sharp has also played his joker for this race, so he'll be looking to try and improve on those positions there, but it is Hodgson from Richard Sharp, then Mullaney as we enter the off-road section for the first time here at Oliver's Mount for race 2, and a big send there from the number 100 Alex Mullaney. Then it's the 7 of Jamie Duncan, then we've got the 108 of Dean Hillier, then Harley Sharp being followed closely by, I believe that is Lee Williams there in the off-road.
Certainly is, as Chris Hodgson leads them round into the tarmac now. And just being followed now by Sharp as they go through the left over to the right now, brings them back out onto this narrow front straight, and Alex Mullaney is right there with them as well, but the leading trio have got quite a bit of an advantage now between themselves and the number 7 of Jamie Duncan as he slides his way in towards mere hairpin at full racing speed.
Yep, it looks like Harley Sharp's found a way through on the 108 of Dean Hillier, so that promotes him up to 5th place there. But it is still these top 3 that are breaking away ever so slightly in the opening laps of this race. So it is Hodgson that leads Richard Sharp, then it's Alex Mullaney trying to keep the pressure on board that Automotive Solutions Husqvarna as they come through this really tight infield section.
Alex Mullaney at the moment must be thinking that these Sharps just won't move out of the way. He had, had that all through race 1, and he's got it at the moment now with Richard Sharp in this second race for these elite riders. But Chris Hodgson leads the way from Richard Sharp. Alex Mullaney right there with them. Do they both go for the same line? Yes, all 3 of them go for the inside to give them the outside and carry the momentum round as they head now towards the end of the dirt section. Look at Richard Sharp there, just a little bit of a touch on the back brake to settle the machine in the air as they come now back out onto the tarmac.
Yeah, looking further down the grid, it looked like it was only the 817 of Harley Sharp that opted for the outside to inside line there as they went through the off-road. It is still Hodgson from Sharp and Mullaney as they make their way down towards mere hairpin. So there it is. Sharp still managing to keep the number 100 of Mullaney back at bay, but is Hodgson now trying to pop the hammer down to pull away from the remaining 2 just behind him?
So Chris Hodgson there is still leading the way. Like you say there, Richard Sharp and Alex Mullaney Yeah, it's your top three. As is that Richard Blakeman there, just going through the left-hander in 8th position then. So through the left they go. And look how much Alex Mullaney closes up onto the rear wheel of 217 Richard Sharp. And at the moment, Alex Mullaney, some big air there as he goes for that inside to outside line once again, following right in the wheel tracks of 217 Richard Sharp.
Yep, and if you are a spectator here at Oliver's Mount, make sure you go and have a look at our off-road section. This is what makes SuperMoto so special. These riders carrying so much speed on slick tyres through the off-road here. And Oliver's Mount definitely has a very special off-road section here that's been built by our Trips UK team boss, Chris Walker. And Chris, unfortunately, not out there after an off yesterday, injuring his hands.
It's a shame there for Chris Walker as they're sliding his way down in towards the paddock is the 217 of Richard Sharp. So the lap times are all pretty much the same within the top three. Chris Hodgson, a 1 minute 10.3, 1 minute 10.2 for Richard Sharp, a 1 minute 10.3 for Alex Mullaney. But Harley Sharp is now through on Jamie Duncan in 4th position, but is now 6.7 seconds behind the number 100 of Alex Mullaney. Well, there's the gap on your screen. You can see it right there.
Yep, you can see the gap back to the 817 of Harley Sharp, who has managed to nip in front of our Fat and Fast UK rider, Jamie Duncan, who's been demoted down to 5th place, and he's now under pressure from the 108 of Dean Hillier on board that Goon Squad Racing Yamaha.
Certainly is, as we keep an eye on this battle for 2nd position. So earlier on, was that a mistake there for Alex Mullaney? That would have cost him precious seconds now onto the back of Richard Sharp. So last time around was a 1 minute 10.2. We'll keep an eye on the lap time for Alex Mullaney this time around. So as he makes his way out of the right-hander, back onto the front straight, Hodgson and Sharp are through. Alex Mullaney that time around. Let's have a look at the time as they head towards Mere Hairpin once again. It's a 1 minute 10.8, so he's lost about 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, a little shake of the head there from Alex Mullaney, but it was a fastest lap put in there by our 2nd place man, Richard Sharp. So Sharpie not letting that gap out to the number 74 of Hodgson open up too much and not allowing him to run away with this. So less than 8/10 of a second as they cross the line on that last passing. So the number 217 is definitely trying to keep the 74 of Chris Hodgson, an honest man now, and it is a little bit of a way back now to Alex Mullaney after that mistake on the last lap. And you could see the shake of the head there from Alex Mullaney, so he knows he's made a mistake there and needs to get his head down.
Certainly does, as he uses that inside to outside option line there. 4th position is Harley Sharp. He goes outside, then inside. Jamie Duncan and then Dean Hillier as well go inside, then outside. So a few changes of line further down the order inside the top 7 as Jamie Duncan gets some big air and back out onto the tarmac once again, chasing hard after the 817 of Harley Sharp. And look at this between the number 108 of Dean Hillier and 94 of Lee Williams. They're having a great fight for 6th position, and Richard Blakeman is right there with them.
Yep, the 94 of Lee Williams on that high-tech coating Husqvarna. He's keeping the pressure on Dean Hillier as they make their way now down towards the Mere Hairpin. So there goes Duncan, then Hillier on that bright yellow machine, and there is Willow pushing him as they head into this banking section up into the paddock. And legs off there for Hillier as he just clipped the barrier, but he does manage to stay on.
I think he might be trying, Dean Hillier there, trying to keep in front of Lee Williams. It's certainly trying to cut a few corners there. Excuse the pun, as he makes his way through the paddock now and on towards the dirt section. So looking further down the order, everybody wheels in line as we watch Jamie Duncan, bike number 7 in 5th position. Some big air in the top speed as well, as he still plays chase to the number 817 of Harley Sharp. And they do go for different lines, as does Lee Williams as well. And that may cost him that position as well for 7th, because Richard Blakeman will carry the momentum over the jump as Dean Hillier just about holds on to 6th position, but Lee Williams is so close to him.
He is, so that has allowed the 54 of Richard Blakeman to get onto the back wheel of Willow as they head out onto the start-finish. But Hillier doing a great job there to close the door there from the outside line and not allow Willow to show him a front wheel. So as they head down the start-finish straight again towards Mere Hairpin, it is still Dean Hillier that holds that line and is not giving an inch to the 94 of Lee Williams.
No, you're absolutely right there. Lee Williams looking for an inside move as he goes from the lower paddock up into the upper half of the paddock, with Dean Hillier this time around is a lot smoother than one lap ago and keeps it all under control in that 6th place position. Oh, that's a rider down. Is that Sharp?
That is one of our sharps. So that looks like, was that the 217 of, no, that's the 817 of Harley Sharp down. So Harley has dropped it in the infield section, but remounted from 4th place. So he will come out now behind, that is Richard Blakeman. So that will put him in around 8th or 9th place as he remounts, which is not what that lad needs, especially after playing his double points joker. But it is Willow there that's trying to see if he can sneak up the inside, but Hillier keeping the pressure on. A little bit of a tap over the back wheel there, I think, from Willow onto that 108 of Dean Hillier as well on the exit of the off-road.
All he needs is that one opportunity, isn't it, for the 94 of Lee Williams? I mean, he's using every inch of the circuit, as is Dean Hillier in front. Just one opportunity for the number 94, and that will see him take advantage and move up into 5th position. But Dean Hillier is riding a great race there, using all of his defensive might to hold on to that final top 5 position. As back at the front, it's still Richard Sharp from Alex Mullaney in 2nd and 3rd. But interestingly enough, Sharp has pulled out an advantage of 2.6 seconds over Alex Mullaney, who in turn is 11 seconds up the road from Duncan. And James Duncan is 3.3 seconds up the road from this group.
Yep, so that falling from Harley Sharp has demoted him down to 8th place and about 7 seconds behind this group here that you can see on screen. So he's about 7 seconds behind the 54 of Richard Blakeman, who sits in 7th. But let's see if we can watch Lee Williams, see and keep the pressure on the 108 of Dean Hillier as they make their way round. So inside to outside and then send it up this big step up as they make their way back towards our tarmac section. And it looks like Hillier's there, just able to get the power down a little bit cleaner on board that Goon Squad Racing Yamaha and just pull out a little bit of a gap on the number 94 of Lee Williams as they make their way down the start-finish straight again.
Certainly does, doesn't it? And he's got a round about 6 or 7 bike lengths advantage as he goes in towards me a hairpin. So we are 8 laps down. We do have 4 more laps to go as we keep an eye on the 108 of Dean Hillier with Lee Williams right there with them. But Jamie Duncan, last time around, dropped, let's have a look, 1.5 seconds to Dean Hillier. So that means that, well, that's inspired Dean Hillier now, because look at him, he's put a little bit of distance between him and Lee Williams, and I think that's more a case of Dean Hillier going quicker rather than Lee Williams going slower.
There is Harley Sharp just making his way into that infield section, and out front it is still the number 74 of Chris Hodgson that leads us. So he's still doing those sub 11 minute second lap time. So he's got a 2.7 second advantage over Richard Sharp in second, and then it's a further 2 seconds back to the number 100 of Alex Mullaney. So we will keep an eye out on that battle for the top 3, but it's looking like those places are fairly set.
Yeah, that battle then for 5th position is a 3-way fight. It could well be a 4-way fight for 4th now, as the big number 7 of Jamie Duncan comes across the line, and the gap was around about 2 seconds. It's now down to half a second between Jamie Duncan and Dean Hillier. So Dean Hillier then, there he is, right on the rear wheel of Jamie Duncan. So the 7 and the 108, they're going to fight it out now over the following 3 laps for that 4th place.
Yep, and the number 7 of Jamie Duncan doesn't have the advantage of anyone to chase, so he has a 16-second deficit now to the number 100 of Alex Mullaney, which can make it really challenging when you've got the pressure coming from behind, and it is really hard to not ride defensive. So it looks like the 108 of Dean Hillier there trying to move around the outside on the brakes into the off-road, but not able to make that one stick. And then it's a big send there from Jamie Duncan as he opts for the inside to outside line around our off-road section.
Interestingly enough, it was Duncan, Hillier, Wilson and Blakeman all going inside to outside, and nobody trying the outside to inside line there. So Dean Hillier there, looks like he's lost a 1/10 of a second or so, but he's all over the curbs, trying to make up as much ground as possible onto the number 7 of Jamie Duncan.
Yeah, and there was also a slight mistake there from the number 54 of Richard Blakeman on the exit of the off-road, just clipping the grass there as he rejoined onto the tarmac. So he's dropped back a couple of tenths of a second as they come across the line there. But it is still Duncan from Hillier, Williams and Blakeman as they enter into our paddock section once again. It looks like Willow is now again all over the back wheel of Hillier.
It is yo-yoing, isn't it, between Jamie Duncan coming back into the arms of 108 Dean Hillier, and then number 94 Lee Williams right there with him, almost brushing his shoulder and elbow against the tyre wall on the inside. And Lee Williams is really pushing on now to try and make a move through on the 108 of Dean Hillier. Look at him, almost front wheel to rear wheel as they go into the dirt section. So again, big jump that brings them through the left-hander into the option line. All 4 riders in the fight for 4th position go inside then outside.
Now, I think we saw it last time by with Alex Mullaney in that battle with the Sharps. As soon as that last lap flag was shown, he knew it was now or never, and I think that is going to be the same in this group here. So as they come past now, it should be the last lap flag, and I do think that will be the indicator to Lee Williams to see if he can make a move on the 108 of Dean Hillier.
Chris Hodgson doesn't even look as though he's trying at the moment now. He's quite a way out in front, 2.5 seconds. Last time around was a 1 minute 10.2, but the fastest lap of the race is a 1 minute 9.859 for your race leader in your picture now. Number 74, Chris Hodgson, as he goes inside then outside on this final lap. And it's looking good at the moment now for Chris for race number 2 and win number 2.
Yep. Oh, just going up a little bit short there up that Trips UK step up as he makes his way back out onto tarmac, but it is not enough of a mistake for the 217 of Richard Sharp to be able to capitalise on that. So we'll watch here as the 74 of Chris Hodgson comes across the line to take a well-deserved race 2 win, followed by the 217 of Richard Sharp and the 100 of Alex Mullaney.
Good stuff there for our podium finishers, Chris Hodgson, Richard Sharp and Alex Mullaney. Next up is that fight for 4th position. Looked like Jamie Duncan just put some daylight between himself and Dean Hillier in 4th, so he's looking good for that. As Dean Hillier now holds on to 5th place. There is Simon Burgess as well, one of the promotion rivals from Group B, race number 1 earlier on today, but it will be Dean Hillier ahead of Lee Williams and Richard Blakeman inside the top 7 positions. Here we've got a great fight as well between the number 42 of Oliver Holmes and the 110 of Chris Eastwood. So Chris, who got a 10th position earlier on today, looking set. Oh, it's a bit of a moment there on the exit of Farm Bends for the 110 of Chris Eastwood. Not managing to find a way through on Oliver Holmes. So that is 9th for Ollie Holmes and 10th for Chris Eastwood. 11th place for the number 79 of Peter Bennett. 12th is 941 Darren Wells. And 13th, 145 Luke Armitage. Jake Sayer on the 311 and Darryl Pennington on the 666 through for 14th and 15th as we watch the number 211 of Chris Lambourne round out the top 16 ahead of Kyle Ecclestone and Simon Burgess. So that will be the 18 riders all across the line, with Chris Hodgson a second win in the second race for Trips UK Group A. So Richard Sharp and Alex Mullaney will complete the podium. Good to see Alex up onto the podium after the frustration he must have experienced earlier on. But there we have it, 1.3 seconds the gap between Chris Hodgson and Richard Sharp. A further 1.4 behind was Alex Mullaney, and then Jamie Duncan in 4th. Dean Hillier, Lee Williams in 5th and 6th. Richard Blakeman, Harley Sharp, Ollie Holmes, Chris Eastwood inside the top 10 on the 110 machine. Pete Bennett, Darren Wells, Luke Armitage, Jake Sayer, Darryl Pennington, and then Chris Lambourne rounding out that top 16.
Yeah, it was hard work that, and I had a bit of a man in the first race. It all went down on the last lap, but that one was hard. I was struggling to keep up with him, so I had to just drop back and let him go. But fair play to him and Ali, just keeping me on my toes.
Yeah, we saw you almost have a big moment on the very last corner of race 1. You saw you clip the grass, so you were definitely pushing on. But yeah, a very well-deserved 3rd place.
Yeah, cheers, thank you.
So we'll grab a quick word with the 217 of Richard Sharp. So like you say, you've gone up a place.
Yeah, second, happy with that. Obviously, Chris were in front of me. I was just trying to keep up with him in my marks so I could keep Alex at bay, and it worked fine.
Yeah. We didn't see Chris run away with it as much at the front on this one. You may manage to manage that gap to about 2.5 seconds, I think it was, at the end.
Yeah, he got me at first couple of laps, and then obviously I put my head down, went as hard as I could. Managed to keep it somewhat light, which is pleased with you. I think Chris knocked it off a little bit, just controlled it, but yeah, I'm happy.
Well, he is good at doing that. You are good at controlling a race. I think that's fair to say. I think you got down into the 109s on that one as well. Yeah. So do you think the track's coming to you a little bit more now?
The track's probably getting a little bit worse. It's just a little bit harder to get through the off-road now. But yeah, fair play to Sharpie. Sharpie will fly in and kept us honest up first half of the race. But I think as Alex started to catch Sharp, he rode a bit defensive and that allowed me to get away. So, yeah, just controlled at the end.